We infiltrated a tragic far-right after-party. So Novara Media got into the ARC after-party, which I was also at because I was the bouncer on the door. Because they brought me in as like a joke, like fucking James O'Keefe was the DJ. They brought people in to like do roles because it was like haha funny, and because I used to be a bouncer, they brought me in to do the doors. And Novara Media got in, so some bouncer I am. I did my best. I did my best to check everyone, right? But there was hundreds and hundreds of guests, and I was the only guy in charge of the guest list. There was one other person helping me. But anyway, sometimes we all make mistakes, right? They got in. The lefties got in. My bad. Okay, it won't happen again. I'll tell you some of the stuff that happened. I'll tell you some of the stuff that happened while I was there. We infiltrated a tragic far right after party, struggling to find a pulse. I don't know what they're talking about because the place was shoulder to shoulder. It was packed. There was so many people at this place. It took like 20 minutes to get served at the bar. The Alliance for Responsible Citizenship, ARC Forum, which took place last week, was a global meeting of the right. And the speakers were huge. Jordan Peterson, Nigel Farage, Kemi Badenoch, Mike Johnson, and most importantly, Sophie Winkleman, better known as Big Suze from Peep Show. Like most conferences, the real action would be happening off stage in the back rooms of the end of days bleakness of the Excel Centre in East London. Connections brewed, a global network of the right and far right stitched itself tighter together. The ambition of Paul Marshall, the billionaire funder of GB News and director of the company behind ARC, is impressive, but the conference felt flat. Big name speakers droned on about familiar topics in familiar ways. I mean, of course, they're going to whinge about it, they're bloody leftists. Jordan Peterson on personal responsibility, Paul Marshall on the problems with net zero, and Kemi Badenoch on the project of renewing our culture. I didn't watch Big Suze, I just couldn't. Oh. All the speeches I watched were full of cherry-picked or obvious claims when they were not egregiously wrong on points of fact. But more deeply, everything was, are you going to establish what parts of fact they were wrong on? No, of course you're not. But more deeply, everything was driven with some generalised allergy to being specific or clear. Here's Badenoch's most rousing line. We will have to decide between the true but hard way that needs tough decisions and bravery, or whether we have more slogans and announcements but no plan. Why, outside of reducing immigration, was it so hard to nail down anything specific? Part of the cause, maybe it just went over your head because you're dumb. I don't understand it. It's like the person going watching The Matrix. I don't understand it. Is it like a video game? This movie's dumb. No, you're just dumb. Just because you don't understand the thing doesn't mean it's dumb. Everybody else there had a fucking great time, except you. Part of the causes of this vagueness syndrome is that the politics espoused here dances on the edge of acceptability. We want to rejuvenate our culture. But what culture is that? British culture. White British English culture. Yeah, that one. That's the culture. We do have a culture. Scotland has a very different culture. I like Scottish culture. I like the brash nature of Scottish culture, where we're very, very cheeky up to a point. We know how to act around each other. And we don't suffer fools gladly. No, we definitely don't. Very, very quick to the fists. I got beat a lot as a child. Like, I did quite a lot. And when I tell people stories, they're like, and I'm like, oh no, his dad did it. I saw it happen to my friends. I saw. People are like, that's so fucked up. And I'm like, is it? Like, I just thought that was normal. This question is central. You don't do it to daughters. Daughters never got it. Daughters were daddy's little preciouses. I already know that when my kids go to school, I'm going to be the dad going up there going, no, they didn't. They did not do that. My little princesses, never. And then I beat up the headmaster and I get more charges. Like, I already know what type of dad I'm going to be. This question is central to the shadow zone where the conservative right blends into something fully reactionary. I love that word. Reactionary. You don't like me punching you in the face? What are you, some kind of reactionary? Why do these people keep reacting to the horrible things we're doing to them? Like some kind of reactionaries. It's just such a dumb buzzword. A lot of these people leftists use it and they don't even know what it means. Is our culture white people? Yeah. Is it classical liberalism? Kind of. Is it Catholicism? Hot topic. I mean, It's Catholicism and Protestantism, and it kind of went back and forth for a few hundred years. Let's not touch that one. Is it the West? Yes, it is. Or, as are we constantly told, Judeo-Christian values? We also had similar complaints about that at the ARC conference. But moving on, I asked the people I encountered at the conference for their favourite Judeo-Christian value. Democracy, one proffered. I must have missed that bit of the Bible about universal suffrage. Universal love, now that I can get behind. Is nationalism the form of universal love, I wondered. No, it's love for oneself and one's people, which the Bible does teach. Our private military, teaches about it in the Old Testament, but in a very, very Old Testament way. I'll move on. Our private military security contractors like Eric Prince, who also spoke at ARC, what Jesus was aiming for. It was difficult to shake the idea that the people I was meeting were perhaps conservative in their ways, perhaps retrogressive in their views, certainly culpable of letting a lot of awful things be excused by highfalutin language, but not exactly the brutal racists of the anti-fascist imaginary, because that's what the vast majority of them are like, not like, that's the little demon that you created in your head. Yeah. I actually get checked for a lot of the things that I said. Because of I'll save it for the end. I'll save it. There was a thing I said in the door which I got told to stop saying, which is not to say that they don't exist. They do, but they still, for the most part, lurk in the background. No, they don't. I was right there on the front door. You saw me. I was the one that scanned your ticket as you came in. I was right there. I was the one that let you into the venue. Since Trump won the election, moves to MAGAify Britain have accelerated. The right are trying to consolidate their gains internationally and build the networks that will allow them to shift to the next phase of their project. Britain seems an obvious next target. Clearly, some kind of relatively concerted effort is underway to break down the rotted door of British liberalism. I love how Novara media still think they're liberals. They're not. They're not liberals by any metric. But for political and cultural lurch to the right to work, it will need ground troops. It will need to develop a serious cultural project that functions natively in the UK. Perhaps ARC's unofficial afterparty could be the site of that consolidation. Also, it had a free bar, so I went. And that's true, it did in fact have a free bar. It just took 20 odd fucking minutes to get served. Which was fortunate for me, because whenever I do these events, and lots of people that regularly attend my shows are aware of this, I go on what's called a tactical walk. Because I usually have a few doobies on me. I don't really like drinking much, right? So I usually have a few doobies on me, I'll go away a wee walk, and then I'll come back feeling chipper and happy, right? And a lot of people, when they're queuing up for my shows, will see me go outside, and then some of them that have been before, they're like, Dankula, you going on a tactical walk? And I'm like, yeah, I am. And then they'll go, can I come with you? Because they want to smoke my weed. And I let them. Right? But yeah, that's what I do. So good thing, I only went to the bar once because I wanted a whiskey. I just wanted a single whiskey, and it took fucking ages to get served, so I was like, oh, thank fuck I brought joints instead. For receivers of event updates, the day of the party was harrowing. A lackadaisical approach to security came back to bite the party. Around 9 a.m., the venue of the event was suddenly changed from nightclub Omiara to TBD. This was the result, it seems, from pressure from a group called Fossil Free London, a group whose mission it is to make the city inhospitable to fossil fuel interests, and there certainly had been climate change denial at ARC. That wasn't the exact reason. I know the exact reason. It wasn't that. It was leftists harassing the venue. Basically, I'm not going to talk about it too much, but it was vet your venues. Just make sure. Oh, what, they had like a drag night just last week? Yeah, of course that venue's going to fucking cancel on you when they find out who you are. Vet the venues. The new location was released at 8 p.m. The Cuckoo Club near Piccadilly Circus. And we were told, bring your QR code ticket. If not, you would be required to pass a based quiz from Dankula at the door. Who? Mark Meekin, aka Count Dankula, the YouTuber who gained brief notoriety as a free speech cause celeb when he was taken to court for training his dog to give a Nazi salute and respond to the phrase, do you want to gas the Jews? He was fined £800. This, to be sure, is not Jordan Peterson's vibe. It certainly isn't Kemi Badenoch's. Actually, Jordan found it funny. Kemi, I'm not so sure. I've never spoken to her, but Jordan found it funny. Zaya Yusuf, Reform UK's chairman and major donor, was at the party, however, accompanied by a bodyguard. Although he's currently funding the largest right wing party in Britain, he would presumably balk at association with the more extreme right wingers. But they were at the party too, such as internet troll and disaster tourist Lord Miles Routledge, who bought his title online and posts 4chan style anti Semitic statements on social media. Reform UK did not respond to Novara Media's request for a comment on Yusuf's attendance at the party. Now, I let Miles in first quite early because I was going up and down the queue looking for VIPs and people that I was friends with to let into the venue early. And Miles came in, and he came in with his bag hugging his chest, and I did warn him. I went, I swear to God, if you've brought fucking Taliban merch to this night, I can't let it, and you don't bring it out. And he was like, no, look. And he opened his bag and he had a 20 nugget box from McDonald's. He had a 20 nugget box and he went, can I bring this in? And I was like, Miles, you fucking can't. You can't bring food into the venue. And he went, oh, come on. And then I went, give me 3. And he gave me 3 nuggies. And I let him in. And then I gobbled them down at the door like the whore I am. They were delicious. But anyway, while the party was unofficial, it is clear that the sanctimonious and well-funded ARC served as a lure for a big slice of the global far right to party together in London. The wait in the self-styled pleb queue dragged considerably. I stood among a large number of... Yeah, the reason it... Wait, this is an annoying thing. A lot of people were complaining that the queue was going in really, really slowly. Right, and we were letting everybody in bursts. The reason was there was a lobby at the front, and from there we need to wait for people to disperse into the upstairs section and the downstairs section, because if we don't do that and the main entrance is completely blocked by this smooshed in crowd of people and the fire marshals come in, we're fucked. We're completely fucked. We've got essentially a human crush happening in the small lobby, and if any shit goes down, we won't be able to evacuate the building quickly. So Novara's complaining about it. People in the queue were complaining about it to me. Basically, it was a fire risk. That's why we have to do that. So I'm very sorry you're all waiting a long time. However, if a fire marshal comes in and they walk around, I've done bouncing long enough. Fire marshals will just come up to the door and just do that with their badge, and that's when we're like, fuck. They do that. They do spot checks all the fucking time, which is why we have to let people in, just in little sections to let the lobby clear, and then we let the next wave of people in. That's why we're supposed to do that. Shut the fuck up and stop complaining about it. I stood among a large number of men who had apparently come alone, as more clouted types were shuffled in ahead of us. But after a lot of sardonic witticisms exchanged with my fellow plebs, we were in. It wasn't the pleb queue, there was a VIP queue, where basically we let the VIPs in first. Is this your first time coming to a nightclub? I did have a few, I'll save it for the fucking end. I went into bouncer mode, by the way, and I've missed that job so much. The Cuckoo Club is a space that aesthetically slides between an Oxbridge club and a Magaluf-style glitz. Prince Harry used to go. Lasers pulsed across the ceiling, I got a vodka lemonade on the house, and tried to work out what everyone else was doing here. Among the crowd was Curtis Yarvin, a blogger and founder of the sovereign computing company Urbit. In a recent profile interview with the New York Times, he declined to condemn Norwegian neo-Nazi mass murderers Anders Breivik without also condemning Nelson Mandela. After all, they're both terrorists, right? Yeah, Google Mandela necklacing and then get back to me. Monarchy, good actually, Yarvin has argued, except this time it should be high-powered CEOs in charge of the world, organised through a collection of city-states in a system he calls patchwork. I mean, it's ANCAP stuff. I mean, I've got a feeling monarchy, city-states, this man reads Hopper. In the same interview, he argues that slaves were not made better off by being freed after the American Civil War. Part of the terror of the present moment is that his newfound adjacency to power means that these decisively won debates, should we have slavery, may not stay won forever. I'm very, very against slavery, for the record, by the way. At the party, I joined a gaggle forming around him. It occurred to me as we chatted that Yarvin is not a political theorist in the sense we normally understand. He's a historical fan fiction writer. His writing is an exercise in transporting himself back into the debates of a bygone era and trying to prize out something profound sounding from their worst moments. It's theory for fantasists. If there is anything that connects Yarvin and Peterson, it is the narcissistic titillation they evidently share in espousing their views. Their rhetorical strategies of obfuscation and their voluminous writing and speaking, flooding the zone with shit, theoretical indiscipline, in short, hedonism. I mean, that's kind of funny. I feel safe saying that here. Elsewhere, there was talk of a need to return to serfdom. Someone spoke wistfully of the Tsarist ultranationalist group Black Hundreds. Now, I can already tell what this person's done. I was in the place for hours and I was chatting to loads and loads of different people of all different swaths. I know that you spoke to dozens and dozens and dozens of people and you've went specifically and picked out the nutters. You've done the standard undercover journalist thing. You did it. There's people that did it at the fucking men's rights conference in Chicago. There was people that did it at Mythicist Milwaukee. There's millions of people that did. Loads and loads of journalists go around talking to like 50 people, and then amongst those 50 people, they'll find the one nutter. They'll find the one fucking nutter, and that's the person who makes it into the article. That's exactly what you've done. Black Hundreds, infamous for pogroming Jews, and its support for the early Nazi Party. Where could we find such a force now? An earnest young man in a cravat told me that about the crisis of leadership on the right. Unfortunately, I was told, we can't rely on any of the current prominent royals, but no matter, it might be possible to find a new leader among one of the hereditary peers who Tony Blair removed in the House of Lords reform. From the nobility, a leader will rise, and we will avert our complete destruction. How? By removing all the non-native people. Does it sound like that might make people hate Britain? Not at all. It would contribute to Britain's soft power. After all, we've anglicised them now, and they'd go back to their countries with better values. That is something we have advocated for. We basically anglicise them, give them Western values, send them back to their country, and let them spread it there. I think that'd be good. Maybe it's time we started spreading our ideology a little bit. Downstairs in a loud corner where David Starkey was holding court, a friend fell into conversation with a young lawyer. If you're not a Catholic, you're a Freemason. If you're a Freemason, you're on the side of the Jews. No comment. He informed my friend, I feel safe saying that here. In New York, a much publicised shift has occurred. Some of the ageing youth culture there has shifted from supporting Bernie in 2016 and 2020 to Trumpism. Sovereign House, who were also hosting the ARC After Party in London, has emerged as one of its key institutions. It is a cultural scene in a wider sense, not just about politics. It makes the reactionary scene in New York thrum along as the presence of artists in the mix. None were in evidence in London. Instead, I met lawyers, finance people, and the privately wealthy. And let's be real, know-nothing mediocrities, boorish men, empty toffs, vile creeps. Nah, you're just salty. The music was classical and then indie with bursts of metal. None of it seemed to please anyone. What the fuck are you talking about? Everybody went mental when Rammstein came on. Shut up. Edward Dutton, a race scientist, I've got a story about Ed. I had to do a wellness check on him. A race scientist and plagiarist whose political project is to make hateful nonsense seem jolly, left early grumpy. He was not having a good time. Too loud. It was one of the most cogent things said all night, and that it was too loud. I've got this is a hang up. I've actually not mentioned this to a lot of people. I've got hearing damage, so I'm actually quite hard of hearing. It's partly because years and years ago, I got into a fight that went really, really badly, and I was knocked unconscious, and the guy kept going while I was unconscious. Well, not just the guy, about 3-4 other people were kicking me in the head and everything while I was unconscious on the ground, and I had swelling to the brain, and it caused a lot of damage to my hearing in this ear. And then years later, after working as a bouncer for years in clubs with loud banging music all the time, my hearing's not great. My hearing's not good. Basically, I'll do the Edward Dutton part in case I forget it. We were just sitting downstairs, right, and everyone's in the middle of the dance floor, like, dancing. There's flashing lights, and it's even strobe lights, and I literally see... I need to stand up and do it. I saw Edward Dutton literally going like... and like walking like this through the dance floor just with this look of fucking shock, like he was watching civilization collapse around him. And we were all like, what the fuck's wrong with that? And I had to go up to him and went, are you all right, man? And he just went, everything's fucked. He was, and when we spoke for a little bit, he was not having a good time. No, I know. I can completely understand why he left early. Phones were out by 11 p.m. Men dressed in suits and ties circulated rapidly. Some of the few women in attendance confirmed that they were the regular dancers at the Cuckoo Club, paid to be there. Before I get fact checked, okay, there were some women. What do you mean some women? The place was heaving with fucking women. Like, as a bouncer, we were trying to make it a 50-50 split of women and men. It was a 50-50 split. We achieved that. We were tallying the numbers as we went, and don't fucking lie. One of them introduced herself as, her words, famous for being rude to... I think I know who she's talking about. Is that Caroline Farrow? Famous for being rude to, I think that's meant to be transsexuals online. And apparently there do exist young female mascots of the new right over here. Although they do, I think that was Caroline Farrow she met. Caroline was drunk. Caroline was like mum drunk. Like, it was quite funny. She was adorable. Although what they do beyond posting kitsch pictures of ye olde England online and calling for a return to monarchy, I couldn't tell. If these are the shock troops of a plan to make being right wing cool in the UK, they weren't sending their best. Ah, shut up. It was some of the greatest people in the country were there. Honestly, it was such a good laugh. It was good. I wanted to go around and talk to everyone, but it was too loud and you were shoulder to shoulder. I mean, see, just to go to the toilet, it took me like 25 minutes because I'm trying to squeeze through people like this and I'm getting stopped for selfies every 2 seconds. It was a bit rough. So I just left. I couldn't handle it. It was too much. Or maybe they were. Maybe this is it. Maybe the new right is not edgy and cool, but in fact exactly as boorish and culturally shallow as it seems. Maybe it's shit. Yeah, but we're winning. You're losing really, really badly. Even that woman, I forget her name, was Ash Sarkar. I'm literally a communist, like bloody hard. Even she's starting to go, I was never ever down with the woke stuff. And she's part of you. She's with Novara Media, so wind your neck in. Right, I went full bouncer mode at the door. I was like dead serious, dead deadpan. Guys in the queue were like, hiya Dankula. And I was like, I'm working, mate. And people were kind of like, oh. And people were trying to make me laugh, and sometimes they did succeed and all that. And I even got to be my prick bouncer self, shouting at people for bringing alcohol outside or for smoking not in the smoking section. I did all of that shit. And some people were kind of like me telling them off because they were like subscribed to me and all that. But there was I even had two girls come up to the VIP bit and go, this is for the VIPs only, sorry ladies. And then she was like, well, what about for two pretty American girls? And I went, yeah, well, let me know when you find them, back of the queue. It's like, one of them took it in good stride. The other one was not fucking happy about what I said. And after they walked away, some guys in the queue went, fucking hell, Dankula. And I was just like, I've missed this. I've missed this so much. I did also have to huckle a boy out. I'm not going to say who this was. I'm not saying that what happened was true, right? I'm starting to realise that maybe we didn't actually have a good reason for throwing the guy out, but essentially what happened is there was someone in the queue and I was tapped on the shoulder and I was informed that this gentleman was on the blacklist. So I said, okay, then that's fine. And I told him, you're not getting in. You're not getting in, pal. Right? And there was a bit of woo-woo buggery and all that type of stuff as well. But eventually the gentleman was escorted from the premises, right? And then afterwards, I've just been informed that apparently he was posting some things about women online, right? And then I was like, oh, okay, about things he was going to like do to women at the event. And I was like, oh, that's quite serious, not a problem. I'll move the guy along, right? But then afterwards, I says, what was it specifically that he did? Right now, allegedly, I don't know if this is true. I don't know if this is what the guy posted. But then when I was informed of what he actually said, he apparently tweeted out, I am going to sexually harass so many right-wing women at the Arc after party. And see, when I get told that, I was kind of like, like, I believe that was a joke. I believe that was a joke, and I don't think the guy was actually going to do anything. I think he was just being a little edgy shitposty boy online. I believe that is the case. If he did in fact tweet that. Or maybe not. Maybe his intention really was to sexually harass women. I don't know. Basically, I was the bouncer. Not my job to know. Whatever the venue owners say, that's what I have to do. It's not my job to play Sherlock. If they say no, I say no. That's just the way it works. But it was a good night. It was a good night. It was a fun night. There was far too many people in the building, and I know there was a bunch of people there that wanted to see me, like other like figures on the right and stuff like that. I know that I bailed early, and I know that a lot of people were very upset about that because they wanted to talk to me. It was far too loud. I was getting stressed out with how hard it was to move around and talk to people, and yeah, I just ended up getting pissed off. I'm at that age now. I'm at that age where it's like, too fucking loud. Can't fucking move in here. Blech. Like, yeah, I got to that age and I left early. But it was a great night, and I hope they have another one.